My beloved child, I speak to you with the last breath of my patience. The miraculous light I once bestowed is closing its door to those who seek only profit in faith. Once more, and perhaps for the last time, I beg you to return and receive the portion of grace I have set apart for you, before your soul is bartered away in the clamor of the marketplace. For the hour has come when faith is no longer measured by trust, but by the money people are willing to pay to purchase a miracle. Today, the world no longer sells bread, it sells salvation. Trembling hands are no longer folded in prayer, but in fear of losing the sacred services they have subscribed to. And the soul, once my dwelling place, has become a user account, awaiting a grace renewal in the next promotional campaign. Do you see, when faith turns into merchandise, people no longer kneel to worship, they bow to settle the bill. Miracles no longer carry the fragrance of belief, but the odor of advertising. Preachers no longer speak of the kingdom of heaven, they speak of success, breakthrough, and instant wonders. Yet, my child, I have never put a prayer up for sale, nor have I allowed anyone to slap a discount code on my grace. Look again how many souls now confuse faith with a spiritual service contract. They buy peace packages, rent blessings, put deposits down for favor, forgetting that I never bargain. Grace is not something you trade. It is a gift reserved for those who live truthfully with their own hearts. Those who turn my name into a brand and my word into an instrument do not realize that the more they traffic in belief, the more their souls run dry. And then, amid the crowd pressing after immediate effective miracles, you can still hear my voice, small yet true. Not the market's clamor, but the breath of the Spirit asking, "Do you still believe in me for my sake, or only for what I can give?" When everything sacred carries a price tag, the one thing that loses its value is the trust you place in me. For once you start pricing grace, your soul has become a commodity. Not every resounding sound comes from heaven. Sometimes it is only the echo of greed. You must learn to listen not with your ears, but with fidelity of heart. My voice is never noisy, never promising a life transformed in a flash. I speak in silence, in what is simple and true. Take Scripture as your compass, the Church's tradition as your road, and a trustworthy community as your lamp. Truth needs no password or sensational claim. True light never hides in the shadow of deceit. There are echoes in life you mistake for my voice, but they are only the reverberations of ambitions sprouting in your heart. The world is cunning. It clothes empty invitations in holy garments, turning falsehood into truth, the whistle of the wind into revelation. You begin to think that everything that glitters comes from heaven, not realizing that the evil one too can borrow light to mask itself. Child, do not seek me in the noise, for I am not there. I am in the stillness where you must bow low to hear. Be still and know that I am God. Ps 4610. That is not a lullaby, but a command that brings your soul back to the right frequency of faith. Many today no longer hear me, not because I am silent, but because they have traded speakers for money and ears for fame. They enter church as if entering a theater, craving what pleases rather than what they need. And you, if you listen to me only with your reason, you will soon lose your way. For my voice does not resound in the world's logic, but in the restlessness of conscience. I do not summon you with dramatic sounds, but with the ache of love. Whenever your heart stirs and wrestles between what you ought and what you want, that is my knocking. Yet you often open the door to other voices because they are easier to hear, more pleasant, and easier to live by. Child, I do not speak in panic. I speak in truth. My voice never urges you to buy more, outshine others, or seize the upper hand. It simply reminds you to be humble, patient, and trusting. Yet people today are addicted to powerful tones, the kind that make them feel chosen, special above the rest. They call it a sign, a prophecy, a personal revelation, while I see a soul smearing gold over mud and calling it glory. Do not believe every spirit at once, for not every spirit comes from me. Confer one UN 4:1. I do not need many words to prove my power. I only need your silence to let you recognize my love. At times I lead you through the desert, not to make you suffer, but because in the desert nothing resounds except my voice. When the noise subsides, you will discover that the still, small voice was there from the beginning. You simply had not truly listened. Learn to stand still while the world hurries. Learn to slow down while others scramble. Those who cannot stop will never learn to hear. My voice does not force its way through the current of greed. It visits only the hearts that have room. If you want to hear me, first learn to tidy the chamber, within now cluttered with the dust of judgment, envy, and fear. I see you lost in a forest of information and online prophets drawn toward promises sweeter than truth. You mistake it for faith, but it is only an addiction to feeling. You have forgotten that true faith is not the sensation God is beside me, but the conviction God remains even when you feel nothing. Faith needs no stage and no sound. It needs only a heart that believes even in the dark. Child, do not let your trust depend on the volume of the call. Anchor it in the depth of love. Then you will discern what is my voice and what is only an echo. And when you learn to listen, you will see something wondrous. The world's whispering shrinks, while my silence becomes clearer than ever. I do not speak to impress. I speak to rescue your soul from its own noise. You will realize that amid life's tumult, the true miracle is not in the shout of the crowd, but in the tear of the one who returns. When you bow in silence, that is when the kingdom of heaven begins to sprout within you. From that seed I will teach you the next lesson, that prayer is not a transaction, not a coin dropped into a slot to make a miracle fall out, but the meeting of two hearts, a human being who longs and a God who waits. Some prayers fall to the ground before they reach the heavens, not because I do not hear, but because you have turned prayer into a deal. You no longer pray to meet me. You pray to test whether I will respond. Each time I am silent, you are disappointed like a customer whose service is late. But prayer is not a button that runs grace, nor an invoice that demands favor. Prayer is the breath of the soul. It cannot be weighed, counted, or priced. When you reduce me to a supplier of blessings, the love of father and child is replaced by buyer and seller. I see you kneel each night, not out of reverence, but for fear of missing a sacred time. You repeat formulas like commands to a machine, hoping I will dispense gifts once you reach the quota. I do not need many words from you. I need your true heart. I do not count your words. I measure your heartbeat. When you pray only to demand your will, you train your soul to doubt love. For one who truly loves will trust even when the beloved has not yet replied. When you pray, do not heap up empty phrases like the pagans, for your Father knows what you need before you ask Him. Mount 6, 7, 8. Some approach me like a blessing withdrawal counter, and when the machine does not release, they turn away and lament that I am distant. They forget I do not bestow according to the logic of profit, but to the rhythm of love. I have no use for prayer strategies, tips to open heaven's gates, or activate favor. Such things turn me into a product, and you into a loyal customer of an illusory faith. In truth, grace needs no strategy, only a heart willing to break. I dwell where there is humility. I do not lodge in clever calculations. Child, stop demanding miracles as if they were your entitlement. When I am silent, it does not mean I abandon you. It means I am waiting for your heart to ripen. Many prayers remain unanswered, not because I forget, but because you are not yet ready to receive. Grace is never scarce, only trust waxes and wanes. As the sower knows the season when blossoms appear, so do I know when the blessing you seek has matured enough not to harm you. If you force heaven to yield to your will, you will harvest fruit before its time, and your faith will rot. Sometimes I leave the door closed longer than you wish to show you that true favor does not come from knocking enough times, but from knocking with the right heart. Prayer is entering the inner room not to negotiate, but to be illumined. When you speak to me, do not offer only what you lack. Bring me your pride, your weariness, your confusion. I do not seek pretty words. I seek your truth. If you come to me only when you need something, you will never truly have me. But if you come even when you need nothing, then you have learned what prayer is. Many think prayer is a shortcut to blessing, but in truth, it is the long road to peace. When you pray, you do not change me, you change yourself. Prayer does not bring me nearer to you, it brings you nearer to me. Child, do not measure faith by outcomes, measure it by perseverance. Prayers not yet answered may be miracles germinating in silence. As a seed needs the dark before it sprouts, so your soul needs stillness to root deep. And when you learn to pray for real, you will stop asking me when or why. You will simply say, "Thy will be done." For when the soul bows, I am glorified. When you learn to pray without buying and selling, you will cease to fear loss, to worry about lack, to live in doubt. In that very emptiness, grace begins to fill. You will understand that not every prayer is answered by an outward wonder, but every sincere prayer becomes a miracle within. Then you will no longer seek me in responses, but recognize me in presence. You will no longer speak of me as a dispenser, but call me Father. And as you grow accustomed to the true rhythm of prayer, you will discover what is more wondrous than any miracle: peace. Peace needs no blazing light, no splendid sign, only a soul that knows to pause before it speaks, to be silent before it asks, and to give thanks before it receives. Their prayer becomes life. One day you will realize that the deepest point of prayer is not about what you receive, but who you become after you pray. Those who truly know how to pray no longer bargain with heaven for favors. They learn to exchange themselves for peace. When the soul touches that maturity, you will no longer feel the need to make the Lord hear for you. Will know, I have always been there, merely waiting for your heart to be still enough to recognize me. And from that place you will understand one more thing. True blessing does not flow from a hand open to receive, but from a heart open to love. There are people who think themselves blessed because their hands are full, yet in truth they are the poorest in soul. I have seen many faces radiant in public, while within lies a collapsed house of faith. They think blessing is what can be seen: money, work, health, reputation. But child, the gold in your pocket cannot mend the tear within your soul. True blessing is not a light shining from without, but a small fire glowing within, no matter how dark the night. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Mount 5:3. I do not call you to poverty, I call you to freedom. You often ask me to bestow blessings, but have you ever asked whether your soul has room to hold them? Many receive grace as water caught in a cracked jar. Grace keeps pouring in only to leak out through the fissures of pride, envy, and comparison. True blessing cannot dwell in a heart crowded with comparisons, for blessing is not a prize for the better, but the fruit of the one who can be silent, live honestly, and weep over his own faults. You look around and see others receive more, then ask me, why not me? Yet I see your heart so full there is no space left for grace to enter. True blessing is not noisy. It does not arrive amid fireworks or stage lights. It sprouts in the days you quietly choose the right among 1,000 easy alternatives. When you forgive, though you have every right to resent; when you are patient, though you have every reason to flare up; when you love without needing return, their blessing is putting down roots in you. I bestow blessing not by what the eye can see, but by how your heart slowly becomes like mine. You think miracles are healings or sudden reversals of fortune. I tell you, the true miracle is that you keep your peace even when nothing changes. My child, I do not despise your petitions, but I grieve when you stop there. For true blessing does not come from my adding more, but from my taking away, removing what you cling to, cutting off what keeps you far from me. At times I take away wealth not to make you poor, but to free you from bondage. At times I allow loss not to punish, but to open your hands so you can receive greater things. As a gardener prunes, I too cut away what you thought precious to make room for real fruit to grow. Sadly, many call this bad luck, not recognizing it as the way I bless with the blade of love. True blessing does not make you stand out in the crowd. It makes you stand firm in the wind. It does not give you more. It makes you enough. When you live truthfully, you have nothing to prove. When you love truly, you need no negotiation. And when you believe truly, you need no miracle to confirm it. Blessing is not a final reward. It is the present condition of a soul united to me. The world calls happiness having everything. I call blessing that even losing all, you do not lose faith. The more you clutch, the more blessing slips away. When you learn to let go, you can receive what only the free are given. Some souls think blessing has value only when it is proven and recognized. They do good to be praised. They give to have their names recorded. They practice religion to be honored. But true blessing needs no audience, only my gaze. When you quietly do good with no one noticing, you enter the land of true blessing. When you suffer and still give thanks, the kingdom opens within you. For blessing is not found in what you possess, but in who you are becoming. In time you will learn true blessing is not bestowed, it is cultivated. It does not fall from the sky. It germinates in the heart that lets the Lord touch its wounds. Spectacular miracles may stir you, but hidden miracles transform you. I did not come to hand out gifts. I came to give myself. When your soul finds blessing in giving, in gratitude, in unconditional peace, then you will no longer need miracles, for you yourself will have become my miracle. And when you grasp that true blessing moves from within to without, you will stop chasing glittering things. You will see that peace needs no display, and true joy needs no proof. Blessing is the state of a soul at rest in my hands while the world roars on. Then you will seek me not in promises of sudden change, but in the slow pilgrimage of fidelity. There you will learn the next lesson, that faith is not a fever of feeling, but the steady step of a disciple who knows the road is long and the cross is heavy. People often think they are blessed when their hands are full, but I behold another truth. Some have full hands and empty hearts. They count blessings by numbers, weigh grace by results, and suppose I am present only in success. But true blessing, child, has neither the shape of money nor the sound of applause. Blessing is the quiet warmth of peace, the little candle still alight in the dark night of confusion. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Mount 5:3. Do you see, I promise no riches. I promise the kingdom treasure no one can steal. At times I see you weary in the race to seize blessing, forgetting it is not something to compete for. You ask me for more, yet never ask if you are already enough. True blessing is not accumulated. It is discovered where the heart can stop, can yield, and can look up. The world prefers blessings that are fast, easy, and visible. But I sow blessing like seed in the earth, silent, hidden, waiting for the day it sprouts. Some graces you thought were lost are in fact breaking open beneath the soil of trial. Not all who receive much are blessed, and not all who suffer are forsaken. True blessing sometimes takes the form of loss of tears, of endurance. Remember, lilies do not bloom on velvet, they rise from the mud. When I let you pass through hurt, it is not because I forget you, but because I am clearing a path for deeper grace. When you are weak and still choose gentleness, when you are misunderstood and still keep your heart pure, then blessing is flowering in you. For the miracle is not escaping pain, but refusing to let pain make your heart hard. There are moments I must take from you, not because I am harsh, but because your heart is being choked by the very things you call favors. You clutch at work, reputation, relationships, as if losing them were losing all. But child, true blessing never arrives with possession. It arrives with freedom. I cut so you may be light. I strip so you may be true. Like a gardener pruning, I do not cut to destroy, but to help the tree bear better fruit. Each loss, you name a disaster, is in fact my hand removing the old husk so your soul can breathe. Some ask me, why does the Lord let me suffer? And I smile, for they do not see that suffering is the classroom of blessing. Without pain, you would never learn what grace is. Without night, you would not know the meaning of dawn. The blessing I give is not to cheer you for a moment, but to steady you for a lifetime. When you learn to see blessing with the eyes of faith, you will recognize that every event, good or ill, is a stone I use to rebuild your heart. And when that house stands firm, you will understand that blessing lies not in what I give, but in my being there, walking with you through all things. True blessing is nothing anyone can flaunt, for it does not show itself to the naked eye. It is not dazzling but enduring, not loud but whispering. Blessing does not make you great, it makes you sufficient. When you begin to live in the grace of peace, though you have little, though you are weak, though you are forgotten, that is the sign I dwell within you. The world will not call this blessing, for it worships noise, but I seek the quiet, for only there does blessing multiply. My child, do not wait for blessing to fall like rain. Let it rise like a sprout from your heart. It needs time, tears, and patience to mature. And when it grows enough, it will spread from within you and light those around you. Then you will be not only one who is blessed, but a bearer of blessing, the one I use to comfort, to lift up, and to guide other souls. And when you have learned to live with true blessing, you will no longer ask, how can I be given more? But will say, grant that I may keep faithfully what I have received. For blessing needs no embellishment. It only needs to be nourished by fidelity. When your soul has learned sufficiency, you will stop hunting blessing like a novelty and will seek me, the one who is blessing without end. From there you will begin a new journey, from one who is blessed to one who lives by faith, not chasing sensations, but persevering along the disciples' road. There are souls who chase miracles like children chasing fireworks, brilliant and beautiful, yet quickly burnt out. Many today no longer believe with steadfast hearts. They believe by feelings, and the moment I fall silent, they turn to other voices. The fever of instant faith spreads like straw fire, flaring bright, then leaving only ash. They seek signs instead of seeking the Father, results instead of meaning. Child, true faith does not come from what the eyes behold, but from daring to believe when nothing is seen. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. 92029. I said this, not to praise the brave, but to remind you that faith needs no proof. I have seen you tremble as you beg me to appear, searching for wonders to certify my presence. You think I am far because there is no light, cold because there is no sign. But child, if faith requires evidence, it is no longer faith. What is sadder than loving your Father only for His gifts, I do not hide. I simply desire that you stop insisting on seeing me with your eyes, so you may begin to recognize me with your heart. When you cease chasing signs, you will begin to seek truth itself. And that truth has always been there, quiet, unadorned, awaiting a heart still enough to know it. Many turn faith into a tool to get what they want. They pray to succeed, believe to win, attend worship to change their luck. They do not see that I am not a dispenser of fortune, and the kingdom is not a promotion for the diligent. Their faith is like a glossy coat, beautiful only under bright lights. I want you to go farther. Believe when the lights go out, love when love is not returned, and follow me when no reason remains but love alone. For when faith is honed by trial, it ceases to be an ornament and becomes the backbone of the soul. Don't be afraid when your faith moves slowly, because every slow and steady step draws you closer to me. Remember, I once taught, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. Mount 1624. That word is not for those who chase after wonders, but for those who dare to walk with me along the rough road. Miracles may bring people to believe, but only the cross teaches them to love. There will be days you feel stuck, no progress, no word from me. Yet, my child, even when all you can do is stand still without turning away, you are still following me. The superstitious want God to bend to their will. The disciple wants to live by God's will. The superstitious demand signs to feel safe. The disciple grows silent to be taught. The superstitious seek favors. The disciple seeks the Father. The difference is not in the actions, but in the heart. You may utter 1,000 prayers, but if your heart is not turned toward me, they are only hollow echoes. A disciple may speak but one word, and if it is spoken in love, heaven trembles. My child, I want you to believe, not out of fear but out of love, not to demand but to offer. There will be times you feel weak. Your faith chilled your prayer dry. Do not fear. Even ashes, if you breathe upon them, can glow again. Faith is not a flame that blazes without end, but a hearth that keeps daily warmth. I do not ask you to be flawless. I ask you to be faithful. The fever of emotion will pass, but the endurance of love will remain. You do not need to feel that I am near. You only need to keep walking. And in that quiet perseverance, I will be with you more than ever. Do not let faith become an endless chase after sacred feelings. Let it be a long journey where you learn to love me in each small task, each breath, each person you meet. Practice the life of faith like an apprentice patient, diligent, willing to err, and to mend, to fall, and to rise. I am not looking for those who believe in me once. I seek those who will live with me all their days. For faith is not a lightning flash across the night, but a steady light cast through the years. And when you begin to live as a true disciple, you will no longer ask, "Will the Lord work a miracle for me?" but rather, "For whom may I become the Lord's little miracle today?" That question makes me smile. The one who has forsaken superstition for fidelity carries the true blessing, the blessing of one who understands that faith is not to possess, but to pour out. When you live this way, you will quite naturally become a keeper of the flame, a protector and watchman for the flock against deceitful words. From a casual believer, you will have become a guardian of faith for others. That is when the journey of faith reaches the summit of maturity. Only when faith runs deep do you see the duty to preserve that light, not merely for yourself. And that is the beginning of what I am about to tell you about guarding the flock amid an age of counterfeit voices, corrupt words, and glittering yet toxic content seeping into every home. There are those who do not come with swords, but with speech. They do not kill the body, they rot the soul. In these times, thieves of souls need not carry knives. They carry dazzling slogans, videos that appear holy sermons, sweeter than honey, yet laced with the venom of lies. My child, I see the wandering eyes and the hearts thirsty for wonders that sip the wrong draught. The evil one need not roar. It only needs to speak something that sounds almost true. And so many souls believe they are being enlightened while they are going blind beneath a counterfeit light. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. Mount 7:15. I know you live in an age when anyone can preach with a phone in hand. But not every word about God comes from God. Some invoke my name to harvest views. Some use my name to feed their vanity. You listen, you share, you are moved, and you think that is faith. But my child, emotion is not evidence of truth. I have never needed a musical score to stir a soul. Truth needs no highlighting. It only needs to be lived. What makes you weep easily often just strokes the ego. What renders you silent is what truly touches the depths of the soul. My child, faith needs no advertising. The kingdom of heaven has no media campaign. What is of me shines by its own light. Therefore, when you meet exhortations that trade in fierce sensation and inflated guilt without leading you to mercy, Know that this is not my voice. I do not sow panic, I sow conversion. I do not threaten with hell, I invite with love. Be on guard, for the evil one delights to speak about God only to draw you away from him. It will not tell you to abandon the faith. It will only teach you to live it wrongly. And when faith is warped, charity withers, the soul grows cold until only the husk of a believer remains without the breath of a child. You must learn discernment not by cleverness but by fidelity. When you hear a teaching, ask yourself, does this word lead me to peace or to pride? Does it make me more humble or make me feel above others? I have given you the scriptures, the tradition of the church, and a trustworthy community, 3 lamps. For the road, do not walk alone in the night of the web, for that night bristles with false lights. Stay close to the church. There, even when the light seems dim, it is true light. Out there, however bright it is, only a passing flare. Learn to listen to, pause to verify your sources. To hit share on an error is to fan the winds that feed a false fire. I want you to be a watchman, not a judge. Do not wield the sword of words against souls already astray. Anoint them with the oil of kindness. When you see someone drawn by deception, do not mock their folly. Invite them home. Tell them of the gospel's simplicity, the strength of silent prayer, the beauty of sincere repentance. Your gentleness will be the surest rampart for the flock. Hard words may stop a mouth, but only a soft heart can touch another heart. The world is flooded with voices, and I know that sometimes you grow weary from hearing too many. But my child, amid the multitude of voices, I am still there, not in the one who shouts the loudest, but in the one who loves the deepest. When you feel confused, return to the Holy Mass, to the word to silence. Do not seek me on a screen before you seek me within. Do not let drifting fragments of doctrine online become your soul's fare. Eat real bread, the living bread that is mine, for only there will you not starve in an age glutted with information. And then, when you learn to keep the truth amid the tumult of words, you will become a little lamp in the long night. You need not trumpet anything, only live rightly. You need not argue, only reflect. My light in the way you love, forgive, and remain faithful. The world will recognize those who are mine, not by what they say, but by the peace they carry. My child, defend the faith not only with your lips, but with your life, for a living soul is the surest wall around the flock. When you can stand firm against the lure of counterfeit voices, when you defend the faith with love rather than fear, you will understand guarding the flock is not about keeping it safe, but about keeping the fire. That fire is not yours alone. It belongs to the generations to come. Keep it burning, however small the flame, for as long as a single candle shines, the night will never conquer the dawn. I am here, not far off, not vague, but in the very midst of your breath, hearing the faintest whisper, seeing what you hide, touching the places you thought had gone cold. Tears shed in quiet do not vanish into the frost of night. I gather them in my hands as a gardener cradles seed before a season of gentle rain. Each drop I count, I name, I sow into the soil of promise. And when the earth breaks forth in shoots, you will be astonished to find old pain turned to ripened fields of gold, to learn that your toil was not wasted, but tempered you to carry abundance you could not have kept had it come sooner. My power does not fade with the years, nor is my voice lost in the clamor of men. The word that goes forth from my mouth stands firmer than mountains, and no one can unravel the purpose I have set for you. In the court of heaven, a judgment just and merciful has been pronounced. The hosts I'll record a verdict in your favor, not because you argued well, but because I stood in your defense. The chains of delay, the kind that keep joy waiting outside the door, have been snapped. Upon the decree of release, I have written your name without error and without delay. The adversary still tries to frighten with poisoned speech, but I have set my silence upon his mouth, that you may not waste your breath in useless disputations. I wrap you in the cloak of righteousness not earned by merit, but bestowed by love, and I set around you the rampart of my protection, a wall unmoved by the winds of doubt or the rains of weariness. I charge the Archangel Michael to guard this mystery as one guards the chalice. No power of darkness shall lay a hand upon it, no envious grasp shall break the sealed coffer. If ever your heart needs a sign to remember, you do not fight alone. Take it as a second, engraving upon the stone tablets of your soul. I am here with the hosts of heaven, with messengers sent at the very hour you think yourself spent. I hear your midnight cry, Lord, how much longer? And in a thread of dawn-fine light, I answer, one more proving and you will see. This proving is not to break you, but to set a deeper root of trust, to teach you to take my hand when eyes see no path, ears catch no sign, and the world around you has not yet shifted. Will you choose to trust me when logic fails? Will you rest on my word when no other sense bears witness? Do not wait for change to believe. It is faith that turns the gears of change. I am not drafting blessings. I have opened the file and released them already here and now into the very fissure of this present moment, your portion addressed in the ink of the sun, neither lost nor swapped nor stolen. The shadow of my wings covers your household, surrounds your livelihood, opens the way ahead. There is no turning you take that falls outside my sight. Keep this wonder in silence, as one shields a candle from the wind. Do not rush to display it in the crowd, for the grace that is coming bears a form so personal, so precise, that only you will grasp its deepest meaning. Your adversaries will blink in confusion, will calculate and ask, how can this be? As for you, with a quiet heart, simply say, the Lord has made a way. I have issued the command to unbind, and that command shakes the very foundations of the conflict before you, not to destroy you, but to topple structures of bondage too long entrenched. This time you will not strain and claw like a climber spent. Your part is to open your arms like a child coming home. The feast is set, the place is prepared, the music already plays. The powers that hindered you will be forced to stand and watch a movement they cannot stop. They whisper, scheme, and sneer, while I, the patient one, have observed, awaited the right moment, and now speak with sovereign authority. I am opening a door that has never existed on the map of your imagination or your rivals. A door not locked by fear, not sealed by shame, not using the memory of failure as its key. I myself have carved this door, set its hinges, and hung it on the porch of your life. No one, whether powerful or wealthy, can shut it when I have resolved to open it. Your calling has not gone missing because of delay. You are still the one I name, and I, the unchanging one, am still the Lord your God. The breakthrough in your finances is not a mirage born of blind hope. It has been sealed in the heights and is pouring out according to a holy timetable, never a minute early to make you reckless, never a second late to make you faint, but fitted exactly to the schedule by which your soul is healed. I am sending angels to open the gates of heaven and bring sudden showers to your doorstep, letters, calls, opportunities, knocking when you assumed your house had no guests. The battle you thought would stretch on without end is turning. The feeling of chaos is about to yield to a hush of peace like a forest morning after rain. If your heart needs a small sign to steady its trust, let it be the number that keeps echoing within a secret appointment between you and me, reminding you that I still do what people call surprises, though I call it the natural way of my prizes, kindness. When I bless, I do not hand out half a loaf or a mere sip of water. I set out the basket, brimming the jar overflowing. I do not patch one limb, but restore the whole from root to tender shoot. I do not touch one knot of trouble and abandon the rest. I loosen them one by one until everything that kept you awake through the long night lies still as the sea when the wind sleeps. What is coming, therefore, is not merely a return to how it was. This is redemption. Redeeming time you thought wasted, opportunities you thought had flown, promises you thought had gone mute beneath the dust. You ask, "But I'm tired, I'm weak. Do I still have strength to go on?" I say, "Do not carry yesterday's load into a new day. You need only take one step at my word, and I will shoulder the rest." Your road will no longer be a maze of dead ends. I am redrawing the route so that every stop holds meaning and every turn holds light. The shame that clung like a stubborn smear of mud will be washed away, not by your tears but by the river of my grace. Those who mocked you will witness my gentleness in your life. They will either fall silent or come to learn the lesson of faith anew. You have no need to hurry to prove yourself. Favor is its own testimony, like a fragrance recognized without argument. You may see yourself as small as a grain of sand on the shore. I see you as the keystone set in place within the arch of my design. Remove it, and the arch would fall. Do not let dark memories deny a present that is brightening. Do not grant fear's voice the right to define you. I have placed within you a quiet courage, strength, that stands when no one is watching, a heart that dares to open the door, though storms are beating. When the door I have prepared swings wide, you will know it by the familiar seal, the right time, the right people, the right answer. Not every invitation is for you. Not every opportunity is a road I open. But the opportunities I send bear 3 marks. They bring peace. They never demand you. Sell your conscience. And they grant you abundance that teaches you to share. Keep sacred things guarded. Some secrets are meant to be whispered only to me, and to those I send for the most delicate beauty requires the strongest frame. As you keep holy things private, you are sheltering a tender shoot from the harsh wind. I will teach you the art of walking the public square while tending a hidden garden, speaking enough, keeping silence enough, giving enough, and always returning to the quiet place to listen. As for those who oppose you, I do not need you to explain yourself. The shift I bring will be your answer. They will gape and ask how, and your simple reply, "God opened," it will make old certainties tremble. For when I say go, the sea parts. When I say be still, the wind stops. When I breathe, live, the hopeless rises. You have measured a long season by waiting. Now you are about to step into a season measured by thanksgiving. But remember, though the blessings pour like a waterfall, your soul still needs the cup of gratitude to catch them. Without gratitude, favor hardens into habit. With gratitude, favor becomes a song. You ask, how do I keep what is coming? I teach you. Keep it with 3 chords: humility, faithfulness, generosity. Humility to remember the source, faithfulness to stay the course, generosity to keep favor from stagnating and turn it into a river that refreshes the thirsty around you. When you come home and look back, you will see that hard days trained you to steward days of plenty. The very missteps taught you to walk softly without pride. My love does not rise and fall with charts of loss and gain. It does not run dry when you stumble, nor swell when you soar. I love you as the sun loves the morning, steady, quiet, new every day. Therefore, do not rehearse words of self-reproach. I have cut that cord from your neck. Say to your own heart what I say. You are not cast off. You are called, carried, and equipped. Tomorrow is not bullied by the shadows of yesterday. It is colored by the hues of promise. As you cross this new threshold, carry only what is needed: faith, the wisdom you've learned, and a heart that knows how to love. Leave behind the heavy bags of resentment, envy, and inferiority. Through my door only light luggage passes through. I will place in your hands keys not for display, but to open locks for others. I will let you touch broken stories so that one timely word will close the crack. The financial blessing I give will not dry up your compassion. It will deepen the well within, teaching you to water the right ground in the right season. You will learn to have mastery not be mastered by what you possess. Tonight, as you lie down, I will cradle your heart with consolation. In the morning when you rise, I will awaken you with courage. You will see unexpected calls, documents that seemed stuck come loose, opportunities once distant draw near. This is not coincidence, it is. My hand once hidden now, working in the open. And when you tell this story, tell it gently, emphasize my faithfulness more than your cleverness, for the greatest thing you did was to allow yourself to be loved by me. Now rise from the waiting chair and open the door of your heart where I am knocking. Take a deep breath, say yes to what you do not yet fully understand. Believe that a table has been set, a road opened, a scroll, signed an army, commissioned a peace, made ready. I will go before you, go with you, and come behind you, so no arrow from the front, no snare from the side, no ambush from the rear can bring you down. I am the one who promised, who is acting, and who will complete. And you, the beloved, receive, keep watch, and walk on. For this is not mere repair to make things right. This is full redemption, turning what seemed lost into treasure, proving that favor is never late, only perfectly timed to heaven's hour. Listen in the deepest silence of your heart, where old scratches turn into lines of guidance, where the breath of faith touches your restlessness like a stream over stones, unhurried yet patiently shaping, because the moment long sown is opening its eyes in a new dawn. The places you thought withered, I have revived with life like rain, poured over the fields. The gaps in your memory are being replaced with immeasurable fullness. And in the depths of your soul, a quiet but fierce affirmation is speaking for you what is rightfully yours. No longer needs pleading or desperate struggle, for it has been placed in your hands with a tender yet resolute commission. Decisions in the silent realm were spoken long before you knew so, even when other hands tried to raise a fence across your way. That door opened by the rhythm I ordained. What looked like stalled waiting was in truth the drawback of a bow, so the arrow might fly farther and truer, and now the release has sounded no more chains of postponement, no more shadows tripping your thoughts. What was dropped along former roads will not merely be found, but will return in a way that startles you, full and abundant, like a farmer reaping heaps of golden grain after a season of well-timed rain and wind. Your name, once trembling in loneliness, is now called beneath a wide sky, not to condemn, but to bless, to proclaim that your life is covered by goodness and mercy. Messengers of hope set out before you knew you needed them, and the miracle you longed for is no longer a distant star that you can only gaze at. It is approaching like a fleet that has sighted the lighthouse, steady and near, and when it docks, no power can seize it, no whisper of doubt can gnaw it, no fear can bind it. Therefore, anchor yourself deep in. My heart as roots cling to living soil, so that when cold winds lash and white-topped waves rise, you still stand, not by your own prowess, but by an unchanging love that enfolds you. You are chosen for this moment, not only to receive the sweetness, but to become a cool stream for thirsty companions. The lift I give you will not stop at the borders of your life. It will spill over into family, friends, even those you never expected to touch, and the old laughter of scorn will fade when they see your story change. Hue-shattered shards recast into a fine vessel, a weary brow, brightening, trembling hands turned strong. I do not slap a patch on your soul. I am rewriting the lineage of grace, stitching tight the threads your adversaries tried to cut. Every time you felt forgotten was secret training, like a musician, rehearsing the difficult note in an empty room, so that when the moment comes, the music will not falter. I have tempered your will with gentle fire, not to punish, but to refine. I have stretched your endurance on steep paths, not to discourage, but to enlarge your capacity for the season ahead. And now the curtain is rising. What was hidden will blaze the seed. once buried beneath sorrow, will break the ground into purpose, its branches unfurling to shade many lives. The hour has struck for you to walk in the reality of promises once distant, for each step to ring with trust, for each glance to carry such peace that others long to rest a while. You will find yourself passing old streets with a different heart. The familiar corners that once tethered you to stinging memories will widen into open sky like a mossed wall shedding its damp coat in the morning Sunday. You will learn to ask new questions no longer. Why did this happen to me? But what gift was hidden in the last stretch? You will see that every delay, every fall, every rise with scraped knees was the language of a father teaching his child to run, stepping back only to catch you fully when you came. Fear will knock, for that is night's habit, but now you hold a lamp in your hand, not one that flickers with rumor or storms of opinion, but a deathless light lit by faithfulness. Because you are rooted, you will no longer drift like a raft in swirling waters. You will be a sturdy trunk that reads the wind, a sheltering bank for the small to lean against when rain pours. You may not yet feel at home in this role, but the past season has been a quiet course preparing you for it, a keeper of warmth, a giver of faith, one who uses their story to loosen knots in others. You will begin to see that miracles are not only stage-bright events, but a gentle chain woven through ordinary days, a timely call, an unexpected door, a meeting that seems chance, yet untangles months of wrongs. And when someone asks your secret, you will smile and say it was never your skill, only your willingness to rest in a hand larger than every verdict. Humility will keep you from pride. Gratitude will keep you from dryness, and from there, joy will cease to be a flare that dies, and will become the hearth that warms the whole house. I know the long nights when the pillow was damp, yet your lashes dry because tears had run out. I know the mornings you dreaded to draw the curtains because the new light felt like a reminder of yesterday's failure. I know the careless words that clung to you like smoke in your clothes. But in those very nights, I made notes and placed on your calendar days of joy that will make it up, not with patchwork compensation, but with a goodness beyond imagining, like placing in your hand a key to a room you never dared to dream of because you thought it was meant for someone else. You will receive righteousness as an heir, not as a tenant. You will stand upright in the house of grace and call it home. Claim good things as yours, without guilt. I will also bring you to crossroads where you must choose between the safety of the familiar and the venture of the new, and this time having learned to hear the heartbeat rather than the noise you will dare to step. Even if your palms still tremble, you will find your feet steady on the rock. At those intersections, you will meet those who once laughed at your faith. They will be disarmed by your calm and your radiance. They will learn that peace is not luck, and your story will answer them by itself. No debate, no defense. Like salt deepening a simple broth, your presence will be enough. Remember, I am not sanding you down to please anyone's eye. I am shaping you to match the original promise. I do not gather broken mirrors to hide them, but to assemble a mosaic that reflects the sun from many angles, so that when light strikes, even the seams shine. People call them scars, I call them glory. As you pass through, you will stop comparing yourself to others, for you will have tasted the freedom of one who knows they are loved by name without confusion. Your "I am here" will sound in the chamber of grace like a gentle answer to a long invitation. There you will learn to say thank you. Instead of why, to say yes. Instead of let me think, to let go of stones that once sprouted into grudges in your hands. Only with empty hands can you receive an embracing arm. Then I will lead you through a wide garden, show you a butterfly, just freed from its cocoon. Let you hear the hush of leaves touching, so you understand that beauty does not need to be loud, to be overwhelming, just as goodness does not. Brandish swords, and still persuades the heart. I will teach you again how to measure success not by the number of applauses you collect, but by the number of hearts lifted by your story. Not by the length of your resume, but by the depth of your peace when your head meets the pillow. You will learn to keep rhythm between work and rest, between zeal and gentleness. You will learn to remind yourself, I did not set you on an endless racetrack, I invited you into a journey with breath. There will be days you do much, and days you stop, bow to water the plants, listen to the birds, reread the lines you once wrote through tears, and now read with a smile. And in those ordinary moments we will do the extraordinary. I will pour wisdom so you discern when to hold and when to release. I will give you eyes to see through the tinsel to the core. You will no longer chase after passing ovations because you have tasted the flavor of what endures. Do not fear when bad news knocks. A key has already been placed beneath the doormat at your threshold, the key that opens the shelter in the storm. Do not be unsettled if one day people do not understand you, for I do. Do not falter when your road turns against the current of the crowd, for I lead. Do not regret the doors that close, for they simply yield room for the opening that arrives on time. And do not be surprised when you feel small before great work. A bridge is steady, not because it is large, but because its foundations are deep. You are being anchored to that foundation. Every kind choice you make, every word of forgiveness you speak, every time you keep silence in the right place, each is a brick I use to build the long corridor that leads to the gallery of grace. You will walk through it and see your portrait on the wall not as a self-made hero but as a beloved child. Every scratch a caption for the road already crossed. Those who come after will look and find hope in their own eyes. They will recognize that change is possible, and they will long to follow, not you but the one who has held your hand. Therefore live this new day like a keeper of the flame. Feed it with gentle disciplined prayer, without display, work hours, without complaint, moments of grateful rest. Write down the small miracles so that when fog drifts in you can leaf through a journal of light. Choose companions not because they flatter you, but because they call forth what is best within. Repay life by opening the door, when someone knocks by cooking a warm soup, when someone is cold by writing a letter by hand, when someone is weary. Do not despise the power of small things. The vast sea is gathered from unnumbered drops, and if one day you find yourself trembling again, that is not the sign of backsliding, but a reminder to hold my hand more tightly. You need not disguise yourself as strong. Be honest in your weakness, and receive a strength beyond your own. I have set before you a path steeped in meaning, where what was once hidden now rises like a sun lifted above the horizon. The seed buried under the soil of sorrow has sprouted, pushing the loosened earth aside, revealing a tender green, the green of purpose. It is time for you to set your heel upon the road, laid out not a velvet way without resistance, but a firm way that leads to spacious ground. With each step, you will hear the drum beat of an ancient promise becoming the pulse of your present. At every bend, you will see familiar signs reminding you this route was traced by the hand of the one who knows every turn. When you are tired, there will be shade. When thirsty, a spring. When night falls, fireflies to guide you, the fireflies of faithfulness, of remembered mercies, of promises that do not move. And when you reach the crest, you will look back upon the valley that once stole your sleep and smile, for now you know no minute was wasted, no tear fell without purpose, no sigh went unheard. Every moment has helped shape a soul that knows how to love a heart, that knows how to trust a life, that knows how to give. Go on, beloved. Do not fear what you cannot yet see, for the most necessary thing is already here, a hand holding yours. Do not worry about the voices of dissent, for truth has no need to shout. Do not dread the long road, for at each stretch companions will appear at the right time. Do not fret over worthiness, for worth has been given to you like a cloak. Put it on, breathe deep, lift your head. You do not walk alone. Every footfall of yours is an answer to an invitation that has sounded in eternity. And as you live this way, the sky around you will change color. Old houses grow friendly, a humble meal turns warm, and ordinary conversation becomes a source of comfort. Others will ask why. You will answer with a smile, because I have been healed, named, and sent. You will know where you stand, to whom you belong, and what you live to do, and that is the finest freedom, the most enduring wealth. You will keep telling that story, not as a blinding epic, but as a lullaby for tired souls. Each time you tell it, the flower of purpose in another life will open a little more. And so the circle widens, the light spreads, and your only task is to keep your heartbeat in time with the love that never fails, the rhythm that has, is, and will always lead you true. Let your heart close to the old headwinds and open a new window to the dawn now softly pouring in, for what lies ahead is not empty as memory or doubt have whispered so often at your ear. Ahead is a harvest, ripening blessings, not merely sufficient, but overflowing, so abundant that even when passed from hand to hand, they remain full, like grain sifted, pressed down, poured into a measure, until it brims, spilling over the rim, still not spent. What you once called the end game, the sealed box of a match, is in truth only the pause for an orchestra to tune, for the conductor to lift a small baton and signal the deep music to rise again, growing larger, clearer, so beautiful it startles you. I am secretly braiding the loose threads of your days into an intricate tapestry. When you think all is tangled, I see a tight design. When you see excess, I weave strong joins. When you see lack, I fill the space with a color you never imagined. Simply lift your head and turn your gaze from the old scratches, and you will notice the horizon brighter than you expected, and the breath of hope opening gentle as rain after a scorching season. I know the days you fall quiet when your voice seems caught halfway in your throat, wishing to break out but making no sound. I was there, missing not a breath or a tear, hearing every whisper you hid beneath your pillow, touching every shard you tried to gather. And precisely in the places where you were cornered, where you were told to hush, I am bringing you back with a new register, a resonance that touches hearts without a shout. I place you in the right setting among those who honor what is true, among hearts, ready to offer a chance, among hands that open doors without demanding a trade. I do not do this because of your track record. I have no need to flip through files for proof, but because from the beginning I called you by name, engraved you on the palms of my hands, and went ahead of your every step to prepare the way, whether you knew it or not. So do not lower your face for blotched memories. Do not label yourself by yesterday's hasty verdicts. The stains others tried to smear on you have been washed by the clear stream of mercy. No one can fasten a cloak of shame upon your shoulders while you stand in the garden of my presence. You are free to walk, not because you never err, but because failure no longer issues commands. You are free to smile, not because life has ceased to be severe, but because its harshness has met a heart that trusts and learns. You are free to speak, not to avenge old silences, but to affirm a gentle truth, that you are chosen, that the hand guiding you does not slip midway, that every detour has its reason, and every delay holds a lesson deeper than the surface of time. It is time to return yourself to an upright stance, shoulders square to the sky, your gaze unglued from old footprints. Try walking to a different tempo, slow enough to hear your intuition's whisper, swift enough not to miss the train of wonder. Say thank you to every rejection that once stung, for they taught you to discern what fits. Bid farewell to frames that no longer open into light for new gates. Wider ones are swinging open with hinges singing. As you move forward, do not borrow someone's shape as your mold, and do not turn your life into a stage replaying another's script. You have a path that is particular, a drum that is yours, a dance only you can dance. I have softened the calluses so your feet can bear the long road, trained your lungs to sing long notes, forged your heart so that when you meet great love you will not fear being small. What has broken does not have to be glued back to its former form. Sometimes I want you to see that from rubble, a different house can rise airier with more windows, so the wind of wisdom and the light of peace can flow in and out. You do not have to answer every question, nor bend yourself so that all may understand. You need only be faithful to the summons within, letting gentleness lead you through the world's hurried speech. Keep sowing kind words, quiet good deeds, clean thoughts. Do not fret if today's soil is dry. I have appointed rain for its season. Do not be impatient if the shoot is slow to break. I know exactly the day of bloom. You are not the judge of harvest, you are the devoted gardener. And on a fair morning, sooner than you think, you will stand, amid golden fields, hands trembling with wonder. How did a seed or two become waves of grain? I have prepared for you, timely companions, eyes that see potential, shoulders that know how, to listen, minds that resonate. You need not force your way into tables where no seat was set for you. I am arranging a place with your name already there, not a soul can take it. You will enter and feel peace, for that atmosphere is made for you, with you, and through you. There you will speak without fear of being cut off, share without fear of being belittled, and be invited into collaboration without contorting yourself to please. Remember, the favor you receive does not come because you knock well, but because that door has belonged to you from the start. Take heart when other frames close. They close to keep you from losing your way, not to punish you. Even so, do not forget humility. A new position and a louder volume are not licenses for pride. They are chances to use your voice for the good, for truth and tenderness. I introduce you among people of influence, not so you can vent old anger, but so you can model healing, to speak truth without wounding, to be strong without harshness, to be decisive and still loving. Strength is not in the slam of a fist, but in the power to stay calm amid noise, to choose what is worth saying, to stop arguing when enough has been said. You will see that true power is self-mastery, knowing who you are, to whom you belong, and what you live for. If your heart still tiptoes around the past, place your hand upon your chest and name each fear, then send them back to where they came from. You need not borrow the look of shame to appear virtuous. Your uprightness comes from the forgiveness I have given, not from a mask of resignation. I have signed the pardon for old faults, erased the black marks on the ledger of your soul. So when someone calls up your yesterdays to bind your feet, you may smile, I know, but I am no longer there. Let that sentence be a key opening the room of the present, where you breathe deeply without guilt, where laughter needs no censor, where dreams are allowed to grow. I also want you to learn a new language for the future, the language of hope that is not naive, of joy that is not noisy, of courage that is not showy. Practice saying yes to invitations that open a way, and practice saying no to busyness that bears no fruit. Practice saying not yet to things that need time to ripen, and practice saying enough to cravings that drag you from the shore of peace. Every word you utter is a seed. Choose the kind that can grow into a tree, giving shade to those who follow. Do not sow what blooms for a day and quickly withers. Do not forget to enjoy the road, the smell of morning coffee, the rustle of leaves over the roof, the figure of an elder at the porch, the grin of children running down the lane. Happiness does not wait only at the finish. It is scattered all along the shoulder. You will see that in the great chorus I am conducting, not a single note is wasted. Even the day's offbeat become counterpoint that deepens the music. Even the sudden silences that felt like emptiness are rests that let the melody rise stronger. I do not abandon broken phrases. I bridge them with an unexpected passage. And when you hear the trumpet of your own joy, do not be surprised. That tone has always been in you, awaiting its appointed hour to resound. Step into that rhythm, let it draw your feet forward, widen your gaze, and soften your hands as they touch the world. Keep tending what is entrusted to you, the task before you, the people around you, the health that needs care, the talents that need honing. I will bring you designs beyond what you imagined, but I do not want you to miss the miracle in the small. Kindness to today is the best way to welcome tomorrow. Clear your desk, answer letters kindly, make a warm meal, read a few pages, practice a breathing exercise. These small things are the paving stones for the boulevard of your calling. And when you have gone far enough and look back, you will marvel that the boulevard did not appear by a single leap, but by 1,000 faithful steps. If you have ever asked, "Am I worthy?" I answer, my choosing does not rest on a grading scale. If you have ever worried, "Am I enough?" I answer, my grace has gone before you and laid out all that is needed. If you have ever feared, "What if I fail again?" I answer, I know you may stumble, so I teach you how to rise quickly. Fear will come, for it is a familiar guest to humankind, but when it knocks, you need not brew tea and invite it in. Let it linger on the threshold, while you read aloud the promise that you are not alone, that the road ahead has signposts, that the night keeps watch with a waiting dawn. Then close the door, turn back inside, kindle the hearth, and carry on with life. As you prepare to step across the threshold into a new season, let my hand lift your chin so you do not bow your head. Look straight into the horizon I am painting across the sky fields, both harvested and newly sown rivers, binding drought-lands to the sea cities, opening their gates to you with nameplates bearing your true name. Their compassion will be your identity, faithfulness, your passport, gratitude, the common tongue. You need not strive, for your portion does not mingle with another's. You need not defend yourself, for perfect love stands at the front line. Then go. Go like one who has learned patience, mastered release, and understood what is worth keeping. Go in shoes, softened to your steps with a pack light, because it carries only what matters. Go by the rhythm of deep breath, the cadence of a steady heart, the pulse of a wise mind. Go because the call has sounded. Go because the door stands open. Go because I go with you, before you, and within you. New days are not the business of calendars. They are the story of faith rekindled every morning. And you called by name from the beginning, who have passed through the narrow corridors of hurt to arrive at the open square of hope. You are ready. Lift your gaze, open your hands, lighten your heart to receive the overflow being poured out, not for merit, but because love has ordained it. What once weighed you down now becomes a staircase. What once confined you now becomes a sail. Step forward, and when the winds of grace fill that sail, you will know this is not an ending, but the radiant overture of a long song you are meant to live, to sing, and to give away. My child, take one more step, for what has begun in you is no flicker, but an embered hearth kept by steady tending through every season of night and day. I have set your foundation not on the sinking sand of opinion, but on the quiet ridge of truth, where life's roaring winds only make the heartbeat of hope sound clearer. At daybreak the mirror will return, not yesterday's tired face, but the warm, deep gaze of a lake gone still after storm. I have gathered your salty sweat and silent tears, kneaded them into new soil within you to become the richest loam for sowing. You who once knew the habit of quitting early, now marvel at the wholesome resilience moving through your veins. Your steps no longer drag, your heart no longer shuts, your mind no longer drowns in tangled doubts. Such change is not born of applause, nor does it lean on praise. For you have learned to lift your eyes to the source, to me, the one who held you when no one remembered your name, who raised you when no one would lay on a hand, who opened a way when only a wall stood before you. I recall every heavy breath of your night, I know by heart each unspoken whisper, and I have seen the mornings when you pieced together your will like shards of mirror to erect a new day. Do not use the crowd's scorecard as your measure, for the script I write for you is not in human ledgers, but engraved upon the palm of my hand. And when your soul nods and speaks its quiet yes, The heavens open in an unshowy way, silent, deep, yet rooted and enduring. Do not fear the long silences that resemble deserts, for in the stillness I walk beside you, my shade cool upon your back, though your eyes do not see. Do not be alarmed by days knotted like a skein of thread, for my guiding strand slips through every tangle. If ever I seem distant, remember that the potter shapes his jar in quiet, so it can bear the firing without a crack. After the proving flame, you will not be marred but tempered. I see the sunrise of maturity on your brow. You no longer chase every summons, collapse under every pressure, or grow restless at every slight. You have learned to stand upright in crosswinds, to smile, though a bruise remains, to keep timely silence that guards your peace like a precious seed. In such moments that seem small, you step into new stature, where strength, needing no display, makes the dark recede. You become a sign that mountains can move and seas can part. For your life itself bears witness to unfailing fidelity. When others flail for footing in human eyes, gently point them back to the source, to the hand that lifted you past the brink, to the heart that held you through the long night, to the spring that soothed your soul's thirst. Then you will see strength rise like a forest where weariness once was named. At the mooring once called fear, peace drops anchor like a sheltered boat where shame had been heaped. Glory blossoms like a field of flowers. I have not called you to flare and vanish, but to burn steady like a night watch lamp. Little noise, long light, little smoke, a clear flame. You will learn to breathe to the tempo of heaven, to walk in step with me, unhurried by society's urgent calendars. Day by day, the inner walls are repainted in new hues, the color of hope that knows to wait, of joy that dares to weep, of courage that stoops low to love. Open the windows of your soul as if just rinsed of dust, to let wholesome wind rush in and light pour through. I will teach you to read the pain of others, as you have learned to read your own, where judgment softens into embrace, indifference bends into compassion, and fear of wounding gives way to drawing near, laying on a hand, and sharing what you, plankster, have received. What I pour into you is not for sealed jars, but for living streams, and those streams do not run dry, for their source is not in you, but in me. Remember, hardship is not sent to break you, but to break the habits that keep you weak. Trials are not to expose your smallness, but to open treasure you have not yet known. Failure does not lock the future, it points to another way in. When you fall, the earth still holds you. When you stand, the sky is still bright. The road before you is not easy, but it is meaningful enough for your heart to rest secure. On it, you will feel less need to prove, complain, less sigh, less without cause, and in their place thanksgiving will rise as naturally as breath. Practice gratitude for a stray beam of sunlight, a warm cup of water, an understanding glance, a fresh leaf on an old branch, an unexpected smile from a stranger. Then you will see that happiness is not the crashing surf at the shore, but the quiet freshwater vein running beneath the floor. Learn to love yourself rightly, neither indulging nor needlessly scourging, regarding yourself with my gaze, both exacting and tender. Stop using old faults as new whips. Stop rehearsing self-indictments that wear your strength thin. Instead, take lessons as your provisions, experience as your map, and forgiveness as your door. Around you, I will place those who need warmth, a hand, a shoulder. Do not turn away, for in giving you will receive your share. Do not fear lack, for my storehouses do not empty. Do not fear weakness, for my strength does not wane. Do not fear loneliness, for my presence does not leave. If one day your laughter sounds out of tune in life's fairground, remember that joy is measured not by volume, but by depth. Some joys burst like fireworks and fall to ash. Others glow like a lamp quietly lighting a room for years, and I give you the latter. Yet endurance is not the same as dullness. I will give you radiant moments too, seasons of achievement that make the heart want to dance. When they arrive, receive them as gifts without pride and without fear. They will slip away, for if they are from me, they know where they belong. And when you pass through a valley thick with dark, remember, I have gone ahead to set markers and trace the way so night cannot swallow you. You are no longer who you were. I see it, and you are beginning to see it too. You know how to release what is needless and keep what is essential to be silent. When words would weigh the air to speak, when silence would leave someone lonely. Your courage is not the absence of trembling, but the choice to hold your trembling close and still advance. Your peace is not the absence of waves, but the skill of swimming. Your freedom is not every door thrown open, but ceasing to force your way through doors not meant for you. Your radiance is not the sun coming nearer, but your turning toward the light. In the ordinary beats of life, you are rewriting your story in a new voice, a voice of gratitude and trust of gentleness, without weakness of strength, without harshness. That story will become a bridge for worn-out souls to find the spring again. So my child, keep your step true, attend to what I say. Do not let strange clamor draw you off. Put your hand to the task before you with an upright heart. Sow kindness even in fields others call forsaken. Water with patience, pull weeds with discipline, shelter with mercy. The season will come, not early, not late, but right on time. Then you will look back and smile, seeing old scratches turned into fine grain on the wood, tempests changed to nourishment, wrong turns become waymarks. And you will know for certain I have never left you, never abandoned the work I began. Like a master craftsman I keep refining, like a gentle gardener I keep tending. Keep walking, keep trusting, keep loving, keep living with an open heart. Leave the rest to me, for I am the one who promised and does not break promise. I am the one who formed you and does not cease perfecting the work growing within you. And when you lay a hand on your chest and feel the deep breath, you will say with all your being, I believe good is near. I believe the road ahead is meaningful. I believe the unseen hand still leads. And this faith will not put you to shame, for it anchors in a reality greater than your private dreams in me. Let that word set the foundation for every choice, every bond, every decision. Do not yield to small, harmless-seeming compromises that erode the soul. Do not trade your peace for a fleeting compliment. Do not fear to slow down and listen, for in listening you will find your way. And when needed, dare to say no, that your yes may be whole. You will also learn that miracles are not only in the thundering wonders, but in the daily cadence, a meal that is enough, a call that asks after you, a patch of clear sky after rain. Each small grace is a paving stone walk long enough, and it becomes a broad avenue leading you into open spaces. Do not despise small steps, for they keep your bearing true. Do not fear beginning again, for beginning again is the privilege of the living. Do not reject your weaker parts, for when entrusted to me, they become doors through which grace passes. And do not compare journeys, for each is given a different map. You need only be faithful to your path, walking and learning, stumbling and rising, weeping and smiling. I am there, not appearing only at the end, but beside you along the way at every bend. When you meet the weary, remember your own weariness and widen your heart. When you meet the erring, remember your own missteps and soften judgment. When you meet the proud, remember when you shut your own door and curb your anger. Love is not an argument to win, but a hand that leads each other over the steep. The more you receive, the more you should give, for waters stay fresh only when they do not stagnate in a closed pool. Each quiet good you do is a seed buried in the dark. We do not know when it will sprout, but in its time it will break through. Do not lose heart because you do not yet see fruit. Do not stop because thanks are not spoken. Great trees do not grow by noise, but by sap running deep. So with you, keep quietly doing what is right, and the harvest will appear in peace. And if ever you find yourself back at a starting line, do not despair. Every long journey has headwinds, and every steadfast soul has considered quitting. Remember why you began. Remember the one who called your name. Place your hand over your heart and hear its beat, that is the living summons telling you to continue. Count again the graces received name, the rescues, write down the falls and the risings. These memories are the stonework that keeps the riverbank from eroding, and one day you will show others how to shore up their own. Then your story becomes a lamp in your hand, guiding those who follow over the dark threshold. At last, my child, I repeat the promise, no one can uproot what I have planted in you. Seasons may shift, clouds may churn, seas may roar, but the rock beneath your feet will not break. Your countenance is renewed day by day. Strength rises where you once unraveled. Peace makes its home where fear once nested. Glory spreads where shame once lay. Through you, others will believe that the mountain mover still works. So do not seek confirmation from mortals. Look to the source. I know your name, know your heart, know the nights when words failed. Your tears know the mornings when you forced yourself to stand. I believe if you dare to write that line upon your heart, it will be a key that opens a door to break through. In silence I am near, in tangles I lead. In seasons when you cannot feel me, I am shaping in quiet, strengthening in fire, teaching you to trust what eyes have not yet seen. I see your growth, you do not panic as before, you do not collapse under pressure. Even when weak, you keep walking. So it goes step by step, day by day in my unfailing love. From this moment, my child, walk slowly but surely like one who has just learned why the heart keeps beating amid calms and tempests, for the faith in you is no longer a seed waiting for a miracle, but has become roots sunk deep into the hidden soil of grace, so that every storm can only shriek and fail, giving way to a clear sky after rain. Therefore, do not spend another evening asking whether you are worthy, and do not rehearse your pain like a tattered role from an old play, for that performance has closed, and you stand ready for the new chapter whose script is written by a wise and quiet hand. I am weaving in your life another melody, deep and bright music that needs no display, yet still hushes wounds, teaches the soul to smile, the will to rise, and the memory to forgive the past. That song will no longer be drowned by the noise of fear or the jagged judgments of others, for it is taught to you by the gentle breath of peace, reaching the corners where dreams gathered dust and touching every thought once imprisoned in the dark rooms of doubt. You are called not to scrape by with the fear of survival, but to learn what it is to overcome in peace, to triumph in meekness, to reach by surrender. And then you will see that what seems like delay is in truth the subtle timetable I have set, one in which every slower step has its reason, every turn its sign, and every postponement is a gate to something more complete. I have never taken my eyes off. You never let a single moment pass without thinking of your journey, never forgotten the smallest detail you thought. No one noticed the bead of sweat on your palm, the sigh at midnight, the scrap of paper where you jotted dreams that seemed naive, the halting prayer in a stifling afternoon. All of it is being set in its right place, within the larger tapestry you cannot yet make out, but will gradually see as the dawn of your new season rises. Before long you will stand before thresholds that once slammed shut, as if fate had been sealed, and now the very hands that refused, you will draw back and open toward you, not because you knock harder, but because the key has changed, you know. Longer demand by your own strength. You extend your hand with a heart that has learned surrender. That is the secret of grace. The door that sheer effort cannot force open yields to quiet entrustment, light as the soft click of a latch sliding back. Then what once seemed beyond reach will suddenly feel familiar, like something that has always been yours, only kept in another room until you were grown enough to claim it. You are not missing your appointment with blessing, for the gift prepared for you has never been forgotten. Every detail of it, the timing, the setting, the companions for the road, the field, for sowing the stream, for drinking, has been tended with a love that does not tire. And if any whisper within still says you are unworthy, let it dissolve like morning mist under the sun, for your worth is not measured by the world's scorecards, but confirmed in a gaze that has never turned away. Today, practice a new habit. Instead of dissecting every crack in yourself, count the times you have stood back up. Instead of comparing your path to another's, ask how faithfully you have tended the smallest thing entrusted to you. Instead of curling under the quilt of illusion, open the window and let the light touch the truth. Their courage will grow like a seed meeting rain, natural and enduring. Do not despise days that seem unremarkable, for a great tree stands tall because of countless quiet hours drawing in nourishment, and a steadfast heart is forged through countless moments choosing to trust amid 1,000 unfinished answers. Nor fear stepping again into places that once wounded you, for you do not go alone. Now you carry a light no one can snuff out, and that light will change the color of the walls, teach old eyes to look again, and make prejudice lose its voice. Remember, your victory does not mean defeating someone else. It means you no longer let darkness define you. You will learn to say, "That's enough," to the invitations of despair, to say, "Thank you," for the painful lessons, to say, "Let's go," to the dreams still waiting. Each of your steps will be like precise punctuation set into the sentence of destiny, bringing the whole story into clarity and clean cadence without losing its overflow. And along the way, when temptation returns to whisper that you are slow, that others have arrived before you, smile and answer that your destination is not in that noisy race, but in today's faithful rhythm, where every small task is done with integrity, every word is leavened with kindness, every decision is balanced with calm. Then, quite naturally, the right opportunities and the right people will come as birds returning to an eave already prepared for shelter. You will discover that what seemed late was in fact on time. What seemed lost was an exchange. What seemed lowering was a foundation laid deeper. Whenever you grow desolate, do not forget to return to the old well of prayer, where you relearn how to breathe, relearn the voice of peace, relearn the language of gratitude, relearn the cadence of a heart that neither grasps for control nor gives itself up. Then the feeling of being left behind will fade like ink in the rain, and a fresh page will appear on which the first lines speak of courage, of hope, of a gentleness stronger than force. And you will see that some doors were never closed to you. They were simply waiting until you learned patience. Likewise, chairs that once did not invite you now hold a place with your name, not because you speak more cleverly or perform more brilliantly, but because you have learned to live more truthfully. You will be drawn into conversations from which your name was once struck. But now your voice will not rise because it needs permission. It will rise because it has found its true register. And when you sign a new covenant with yourself, the covenant to go the distance, to choose love over bitterness, to choose building over criticizing, you will feel the ground steady beneath your feet, your eyes grow bright, your hands eager to work, and your heart broad enough to hold even those who once did not understand you. Along that way, do not miss the small signs, rich with meaning. A window thrown open, so wind can enter the cramped room of your thoughts. A tidings of joy arriving at the very moment you needed it. A stranger's smile on a snarled road. A child's simple sentence that stills your anger. These are the subtle messages reminding you that one is still weaving, that the thread has never left his hand. Therefore, do not force flowers to open to your private schedule, nor blame the length of winter. For winter is the quiet in which roots reach down, and when the warm season comes, life rises not with clamor, but with radiance. When faced with the world's severe measures, your answer need only be to live deep, tend each small task, as you would a garden, honor each person you meet, as you would lift a delicate glass, keep your word to yourself, as you would shelter a flame in a windy night. And when tired, sit but do not retreat. When afraid, take the hand that promised to walk with you, but do not step back. When doubting, borrow the memory of your rescues to carry on, but do not close your heart. And before long you will find that a miracle need not be a thunderclap. It may be a heartbeat, returning to steady after upheaval, the way you sleep. In peace, though tomorrow is still a fog, the thank you speak in lean days, the unseen, perseverance recorded only in the heavens. This is the triumph appointed to you, to live the day you are given with a settled courage, to welcome what will come with a heart that has learned to trust, and to reflect a beauty that needs no polish. If ever you waver again about your worth, call your own name with all tenderness, as if calling a friend who has weathered many seasons. Promise that you will treat yourself kindly, and believe that all you are with lines still unfinished is enough for me, to choose enough for this story to go on, enough to write something new with me. For your life is not a commodity on a shelf awaiting someone's price tag, but a poem being brought into meter, a melody gaining new harmony, a field being readied for planting. Stand, breathe deep, steady your pulse, and step forward, for from here you will enter rooms whose lights are already on conversations where laughter is already waiting, plans for which the materials are set, roads where the signposts are raised. And you will know it is not that you have tried harder than others, but that you have learned to bow at the right time, to open your hands in the right place, to love the right things. Grace does not make you lazy. It makes you free. Freedom does not make you give up. It makes you work with joy. Joy does not make you loud. It makes you whole. And wholeness is not the same as perfection, but consistency, consistent in gentleness, in courage, in a faith that has sunk to the deepest roots. Go on like that, my child, for the days ahead are opening like wide pages, and every word you write will drink in light, so that when someone happens upon them, they too will want to believe, to rise, to continue. This is the quiet mission I entrust to you, to become a gentle proof that love is real, that grace is real, that resurrection is real. And from this moment, everything is being arranged, not merely that you survive, but that you shine in the way of one who belongs to peace. No crown is set higher than my throne. No scheme is tight enough to slip past my sight. No shackle so thick that my word cannot break it. For when I have spoken, the universe falls silent to listen, and every structure, seen or unseen, must yield to the path of my will. My word is not a vague sound that dissolves into the wind. It is an arrow that finds its mark, a seed that falls on the right soil, a river returning to the wide sea. You are covered, as a traveler is wrapped in a cloak on a cutting winter night. Every sentence I speak is a layer of shelter, every promise a work rising into form. I do not let my word drop into a meaningless void. It goes, it labors, it heals, it mends the places of your life. Once torn, it closes, fissures thought beyond repair. The ruins you hesitate to face will begin to glow like streets after rain, not because you strain to paint them over, but because light from my word seeps into the grain of the splintered wood until it knits stronger than before. You ask, how shall I know these things are true? Look back over the seasons already spent. Is there a promise I made that failed to arrive? A door I said would open that still sits shut? As the dawn rises without your reminder, so my word needs no prodding. It ripens on time and breaks out in its appointed season. I am arranging appointments not written on human calendars, hours that outwardly look like surprise, but for me have been marked since before your first day. These are the crossings of your patience and my good timing. Before your mouth knew how to ask, I had set the gears in motion. Before your eyes grew clear enough to recognize it, I had chosen your seat in the room of grace. You will know the door I opened because it carries the fragrance of peace. There will be a strange fit between real need and timely provision, between a question that seemed hopeless and an answer that lands soft. You will stand in that moment, feel your heartbeat slow, and know, this is not random. This is my hand. I turn the delays that wearied you into the runway from which you lift. I turn the meanderings that confused you into a detailed map so you can read the way when the storms return. And when you hold what you once desired, stay near. Do not let the gift take the place of the giver. Do not let the cheer drown out gratitude. Sit with me like a child after the feast who remembers to wash his father's hands, for intimacy is the gate that keeps blessing from turning to mist. Guard your heart as a gardener guards the gate each morning. Inspect the thoughts that pass through, clear away the trash of pride, pull the bitter shoots before they grow into vines that choke. When your eyes look to me, your feet will not stray. When your words are filled with thanks, your lips will not spill poison. Humility does not make you smaller. It is the key that opens the chest of lasting treasure. Those who stoop low gather much. Gratitude does not slow you down. It is the breath that keeps the heart warm, the small fire that keeps the hearth bright through the long night. I do not hand you a single gift to slip in your pocket. I place a mantle on your shoulders. That mantle is both warm and weighty, warm because it is woven of love, weighty because it is trimmed with responsibility. To wear it without bearing its load is to wear for show, but you are called to wear it and walk so that the light upon the fabric becomes light through your hands, your work, your words. Blessing is not the finish line, but the starting point. From there you enter darkened dwellings to turn on lamps so others can see the way. You come to broken hearts with patient needle and thread. You come to weary eyes and place in their hands a cup of hope. I send you not to find more who will serve you, but that you become one who serves, not to gather more applause, but to lift the small cry and the fragile sigh. My sending does not glitter like a street sign. It is simple as good sandals, sturdy as a well-lashed basket earth, true as a farmer's hands. You will pass through places where laughter is easily blown away and tears easily swallowed by the dark. There, remember this. I go before you with footprints no one sees, yet everyone recognizes in the fruit of peace. Do not fear when the work seems too much. I do not call you to carry alone, I call you to share the load. Do not step back when misunderstood. Grace does not complain it labors, and lets time tell the tale. When you are tired, rest in my shade. The mantle of responsibility will not harden into armor if you let me be the strength within its threads. When you rejoice, return, share your gladness, like breaking bread for your fellow travelers, not hurling it into a crowd to chase noise. The curses once woven like nets to snare your feet now have no hook left to catch, for I have loosened every knot, burned every splice, and quenched the flames of malice with the breath of truth. The lies that tried to paint your life in foreign colors are peeled away by light, revealing the original grain of the name I carved for you. Do not bargain with darkness out of fear. Answer it with truth. Whenever doubt whispers, reply with the word I have lit within you. I belong to the one who has spoken, and his word rises above every voice. Do not stare long into the pit of disappointment. Such a gaze makes you dizzy. Lift your eyes like a sailor seeking the stars. The guiding star does not shout, yet it is always there. You will see middling doors and easy turnings. Do not hurry. The door I open bears a mark. It does not ask you to bend your conscience. It does not usher you into pathways haunted by dread. It does not make you pay with your peace. When you are uncertain, sit still beneath my shade. Among the three voices, haste, fear, and greed, mine is not spoken in those tones. I speak in the low warmth of comfort, in the steady rhythm of trust, in a light that is simple yet firm as a tree's root. I conceived the new story of your life long before you knew how to write a pleading word. I set the right people into the right settings, the right pieces into the right frame. Some you thought were only passing faces, yet they carried a key to loosen a bend in the road. A letter you dismissed as ordinary turned out to be the ticket into the environment you would need. Walk lightly, listen closely, do not fill your hands so full that there is no room left for good surprises. Learn the art of letting go, release what I do not give, release doors. I do not open, release dreams painted by fear. In return, you will receive the art of holding. Hold to the promise, hold to the discipline of small days, hold to the rhythm of rest I teach. I do not want to see you sprint like a fugitive. I want you to walk in step like a companion. A long road does not discourage when you are not alone. A headwind is not heavy when you know when to bow. And whenever you stop to breathe, breathe the word, thank you, not because I need to hear it, but because your heart needs to remember. Regard blessing as oil for your lamp, not guilt for a rod of pride. Oil becomes light when poured into its proper places. Worship love for others, honest work-wise stewardship. Let the cloak on your shoulders brush another's shoulder. Cover the cold with a meal. Cover the afraid with a steady hand. Cover the lonely with a name spoken over them. Do not wait for perfection to begin. As you give, that is the moment you receive more. Do not fear lack. I am a reservoir that does not run dry. Yet do not be wasteful. I teach you order so that blessing does not spill and vanish, but becomes a river with banks watering your garden and your neighbor's field. Learn to say enough to the temptation to show off. It glitters for a moment, but chills a whole season. Learn to say yes to small tasks. They are quiet but enduring. When you preserve simplicity, you keep clear the channel for grace to pass through without being clogged by the silt of vanity. If at times praise and blame come mixed, do not let the warmth of applause make you forget to take my hand. Neither let whispers make you lay down the cloak of responsibility. Walk like one moving through mist. Do not run, do not stop. Keep your eyes open and believe the sun still rises behind the thin veil. Be diligent, like the bee gather nectar from many blossoms, without being led astray by color and scent. Be patient, like a gardener fruit does not ripen for the shout, but for time and tending. And above all, be faithful, like the earth receive rain and sun with the same willing heart. I do not measure you by blazing achievements. I measure you by faithfulness in what no one sees. There I love to dwell with you, to speak to you, to lift you when tired, to place more in your hands when you have used well what I entrusted. I say it again that your heart may carve it deep. No power reaches beyond my arms. No curse can sever the cord I have tied. No lie can chip the foundation I have laid. When waves rush in, do not count them, listen for my voice. When the wind shifts, do not panic to swing the sail. Look at the pennant of peace on the mast I gave you. You belong to me, therefore no force has the right to define your future but me. Take my word as the standard by which you judge every other summons. Take the fruit of peace as the yardstick for every decision. And when you feel the cadence of my steps beside you, whisper, "Here I am." From that small word I will take you far. From that simple assent I will give you much. Your greatness does not lie in being famous, but in becoming a conduit, clear, steady, always turned toward the source. Now rise, straighten the cloak on your shoulders, cinch the belt of truth around your waist, lace on the shoes of trust, lift the shield of humility, and keep the torch of gratitude burning. You will step into the new day not with a posture of demanding, but with the bearing of one who is sent, not with the fear of will it be enough, but with the answer the source is ready. You will look at weary faces and see in them a resting place for light. You will hear fractured stories and find the stitch that holds. You will meet the bends in the road and recognize my signs, quiet, straight, steadfast. And when night falls again, you will return. Lay your cloak beside the bed, place your heart in my hand and whisper, "Thank you for a day to be clothed and to labor." I smile, draw the blanket of peace up to your chin and say, "Tomorrow we go again, you do not go alone." For the blessing I give does not stop with you. It flows through you as a river through the plain, so the parched lands may know there is still an unfailing source, still a word that never returns void, still a power unchallenged by any throne of earth. Go, beloved. Go with light in your eyes and gentleness in your hands, for your calling is not only to receive, but to become the helper the weary world is waiting for. Beloved child, let your heart settle like a lake after wind, for in that stillness you will recognize, I have never left your steps, not for a beat. I am present in sleepless nights, at the edge of the sigh you dare not name, right inside the weighted secrets you think no one could understand. I am there patient as a small, steady flame in a dark kitchen. You will feel lighter, not because every door suddenly swings open or people change their minds with the dawn, but because I am renewing you at the roots. Worn-out fear gives way to gentle courage, restless fretting dissolves into peace. Like early mist under sun, yesterday's bright sorrow turns into deep, quiet joy. You do not belong to the shadow of a former day, nor are you confined by a single misstep. Your self is not cast from error, but shaped by mercy. The echoes that once chased you through memory will tire and fall silent, for my healing hand touches like fragrant oil seeping through every fiber, cradling every weary nerve. Every wound has its story, but when I lay my hand on it, the story changes tone from groaning to resurrection, from gloom to clarity. Soon you will look back on this season with different eyes, no longer bitter with the urge to turn away, but moved to wonder by the realization, right here God met me, right here a new path began. What others arranged to make you buckle, the caustic letters, the whispers behind your back, the betrayals you never saw coming, all of it in my hands becomes material for good. No detail is wasted, like a potter who gathers even shards to grind, knead with water, pass through fire, and shape a new vessel, stronger, lovelier, able to hold more without leaking. You may not see it clearly yet, but I am refitting your inner structure like a carpenter bracing a frame, old beams replaced with sound timbers, weak points that quivered in a gale now steadied by pillars of peace. I teach you to breathe in the cadence of grace. Inhale trust, exhale anxiety, inhale hope, exhale torment. And so the days that once felt heavy as stone grow light as sun-dried cloth. I pull you back from the cliff of comparison so you stop measuring yourself by the world's rule. I remind you the goal is not to become anyone's copy, but to become the you I envisioned from the beginning. Do not let memories of stumbling days hobble you. I have cut that tether like a shepherd freeing a sheep's foot from thorn, firm and gentle, without reproach, only patience. There are battles you must enter, though you did not choose them, I know. But in each one I set beside you armor. You do not see perseverance, far-sighted eyes, listening ears. And though arrows of doubt fly, the shield of faith will meet them. Though the sword of words strikes, the breastplate of kindness will soften the blow. Wins and losses are scorecards to the world. To me, they are pieces that fit into the larger mosaic I keep crafting day by day. Sooner or later you will understand, grace does not make you weak. Grace makes you stand tall, bow at the right time, and lift your head at the right place. Keep silence when silence is gold, and speak when truth needs a voice. I see your hand tremble on the knob of a new door, and I do not mock the hesitation. I set in your palm the warmth of my presence like a hot cup of tea on a rainy afternoon, soothing cold fingers. Each morning I pour meaning into what seems ordinary, washing a bowl, changing a bulb, answering an email, holding someone a few seconds longer, all become places where I seed peace. You will be surprised that miracles are no longer fireworks that flare and fade, but a little cluster of fireflies guiding step by step through the night. A timely message, a door once missed, opening again, a brief encounter that brings the guidance you could not find by staring, and you will know I still light the path along the way, not showy, not loud, yet never absent. I teach you to define freedom anew, not doing anything you want at any moment, but being no longer dragged by the invisible cords of fear and shame. You are free to forgive, free to refuse what is unwholesome, free to say, "I don't know," without humiliation, free to rejoice in another's success without feeling smaller. When you let fall the stones you wanted to throw, your hands are free to embrace, to receive, to tend a hearth. That is how I restore you, not with hyped slogans, but with small, steady beats, adding good material into your days, until one afternoon you notice you smile easier, breathe deeper, sleep more soundly. Do not be surprised when I remind you of ancient stories. Joseph was sold away, yet the forced road opened a hand that fed a region. A baseless accusation can cast a person into prison, yet grace knows how to turn the key. I do not use history to threaten, but to show you the pattern of faithfulness. What seemed a loss was the prelude to a better chapter. You asked why I permit those you trusted to turn away. Because some hands must let go so other hands can be set in place. Some circles must close so others can open to their right size. Some voices must fall silent so you can hear the urging within. When you are misunderstood, I become the place where you can speak without being cut off. When you are judged, I remind you, destiny does not rest on any human meeting. I invite you to step out of the prison of should and must that others bind you with, so you can live by a call, both gentle and resolute. Walk true in your own shoes. And as you go, you carry a good fragrance. The weary will be comforted, the broken will find a way home, the faint-hearted will glimpse a hope strong enough to rise once more. Your life becomes a letter written without sharpened ink, penned in the way you greet a stranger, the way you listen without checking the clock, the way you lay a hand on another's shoulder without many words. That letter will arrive at the address I chose, even if you never affix a stamp. These days, you may hear doubt whisper, "What if nothing changes?" I answer with presence, as well as promise. I am beside you right where you stand, like a father running alongside a child's first bicycle, hand hovering at the back of the seat, even after letting go, so you know that if you wobble, there is still a shoulder. Let me train your sight. Instead of staring at the wall, look for the small door. Instead of counting what is missing, write down what has been given. Instead of asking, "Am I enough?" ask, "How can I be faithful here?" Faithfulness is how a tree grips against the wind. Faithfulness is how you pour the foundation for the upper stories to come. I teach you to love discipline as a gardener loves pruning. Shears the blade may sting the branch, but the timely cut brings a riot of bloom and sweeter fruit next season. You will learn to say no to the good to preserve room for the better. You will discern the fatigue that comes from overwork, from the fatigue that comes from wrong direction. And when you can tell the two apart, you will know to rest without quitting, to adjust course without giving up. I keep reminding you nothing is wasted. Even tears are measured into a vial, even sighs are recorded. The fragments you thought meaningless will become rich metaphors to heal someone you have yet to meet. You need not strive to be dazzling. You need only be truthful. Truth carries its own light. At last, my child, carry that lightened heart into the new day, like a keeper of a household flame. Feed it when the wind rises. Shield it when the rain slants warm steadily, not in haste. For I have placed within you a fire that will not go out, a gentle courage that knows how to endure, a resilient joy, not dependent on circumstance, a peace that surpasses understanding. Move forward calmly, for doors closing behind you are not a period but a comma starting the next sentence. Open your hands wider, for givers are always the ones who have enough. Be at ease, For your name has been spoken in glory, not for punishment, but for blessing. Messengers of hope are already on their way. Good things are moving toward you with a precision truer than the watch on your wrist. When you reach the next crossroads, you will remember I never left you to manage alone. I, myself, led you through the dry land, gave you cool water, set your feet again upon rock. And then you will smile, not because every challenge has vanished, but because you have heard a voice steadier than the storm. With me, nothing is wasted, for you no minute is meaningless. Walk on and leave the rest to me. And as you walk, this season will close like a book finished on its loveliest page, not shut with resentment but with gratitude, not ending in confusion, but in a tender certainty that what was meant to harm you has become the springboard, lifting you higher, wider, deeper. And so in the ordinary course of life you are free to sing softly. You are not alone, you have never been alone, you will never have to be alone again. Child, etch this into your heart. You have never been severed, never cast off. The quiet is not a period but an eve, where the soul can take shelter under the noon heat, a chamber where I close the door to mend the inner tears. In the days when your thoughts are as muddied as water after rain, and you suppose you've been forgotten. In truth, I am drawing the thin veil from your eyes, so you can see more clearly the path that has always been waiting. There are squalls I have stood against that you never knew, like a father raising his arm before a flying stone, like a mother wrapping another scarf around your neck before you can feel the cold. There are strides you wanted to bolt into that I slowed on purpose, not to delay blessing, but to protect the larger aim that exceeds the dreams before you. You thought you were falling behind, yet you were being preserved for the hour of ripeness. Fruit is not plucked, while green bread is not pulled from the oven half-baked. And now, as fragrance fills the kitchen of your soul, I open the door, I set the loaf upon the table. I invite you to taste. Timid latches have sprung, habits that made you shrink have loosened. The long shadow of heavy reminiscence thins before the dawn. You are no longer the old outline, not because you perfected everything, but because you have learned to grow in the right direction. You have learned to ache without turning bitter, to wait without losing heart, to swim upstream against temptation, to keep what is precious in your hands. That is why you are ready, not because the scratches have vanished, but because they no longer rule. Not because you are immune to the wind, but because you have learned to trim your sails. I do not seek polished pretense. I seek a steadfast heart that returns every morning. And yes, that alone is enough for me to weave wonders in your life. My child, look ahead. Doors that once appeared only in dreams will open like a shard of bright sky breaking. You will step into spaces where you once stood beneath the awning, peering through the glass. Not by lucky chance, not by the applause of people, but because grace has left its seal upon your brow. That grace is like a key kept safely, until the very instant it is placed into a hand strong enough to hold it and gentle enough not to wound. The efforts you have made are needed and beautiful, yet they are the prelude to a score whose main melody is a gift from everlasting kindness. I do not borrow anyone's signature to approve favor over you. Everything flows from the covenant I have made with you. A contract not written in ink that fades but inscribed with light within your heart. Some will wonder why the door opens for you, when their measure is still the outward ledger of achievements, but they have not read the quiet pages where you chose honesty when no one watched, chose kindness when the easy way beckoned, chose to bow when the chance to posture tempted. The hidden seasons were not wasted. I have pressed them into oil. And now that oil rises upon the lamp, do not be unsettled by the speed of change. You are not moving too fast. The engine of my working has shifted gear. Walk to the rhythm of your breathing, neither hurrying nor hesitating. You will see my hand clearing the way, the people you must meet, finding you the words you must speak, lining up the hands you must hold coming within reach. Miracles are often this simple. No fireworks, no banners, only an ease, entering what once felt steep and rough. I want you to understand this. My silent months are not lost time, but the workshop of transformation. You ask why I made you wait, and I smile, because waiting is the language of lovers. Those who love will wait, so the beloved arrives at the best appointed hour. You ask why I move slower than your wishes, and I smile again. For if I kept pace with your hurried schedule, you would reach the destination with a heart still fragile. I have held the reins until your shoulders can bear honor without breaking, and your humility can hold power without pride. You may not see the tempests I quenched at the horizon, the disasters I rerouted early, the blind arrows I snapped mid-air. What you do see are a few doors that did not open when you knocked, but you did not know there was plaster yet to dry behind them. Floorboards not set firm. Now the materials have cured the paint, has set the hinges sound soft, and the door opens without harm. I tell you that each former failure is not a fixed stamp, but the vein lines in your palm that point the way. Each regret is not for the cabinet, but becomes a mirror to show you what is true. Each breathless moment is not a shame, but a lesson in finding your rhythm again. You have learned, you have written it down, you have practiced. That is why I say to you, the time has come. Do not imagine that being chosen is a flattering compliment. It is an invitation into deeper responsibility. I open the door, but you will step through. I set the table, but you will break the bread. I kindle the fire, but you will keep the hearth aglow. You know the difference between noise and calling. Noise distracts the heart, the calling sets the feet in motion. You have learned not to chase the noise. So now when the call rings, you hear it clearly. You will stand among those who once doubted you could, and you will still smile, for you do not need their belief to exist. You need only to be faithful to the whisper that has nourished you through the years. Love will be your strategy, patience, your tempo, truthfulness, your weapon. When you face a dead end, remember, this grace knows how to open paths with no names on the map. When you are asked the reason for success, tell the truth. It is a gift. When you are tested by praise, set your heart low like a harvester, bending before heavy grain. The lower you bow, the fuller the granary. And amid new opportunities, do not abandon the old habits. Listen, give thanks, tie your laces, do what today requires. No wonder endures when severed from gentle discipline. That very discipline is the frame that lets favor fly high without breaking its wings. If you fear because you are unfinished, I reassure you I have never called anyone because they had completed their work. I call them into the work of completion. A precious stone is cut amid dust. The finest strings are tuned in silence. You have blemishes, I know. You have fears, I know. You have questions without answers, I know. But I also know your endurance. After seasons of headwinds, the loyalty within you, though your eyes are wet. The hand that still chooses to help while you yourself need help. What I love in you is not the pressed garment, but the heart that dares to step in. Therefore, when I sow opportunity, do not disqualify yourself for feeling unready. Sufficiency arrives as you obey the first step. As a spring reveals itself when the spade strikes the earth at the right spot, true strength wells up when you set your foot into the task entrusted. You keep walking. What is hard I will bear, what is heavy I will carry, what is far I will shorten. You need only keep your heart soft to my word and firm against the temptation to give up. You will see the signs, a calm amid whirl, a clarity in decisions, a strange warmth of joy without a cause. That is when my arm is shifting the stone that blocked the way. The right relationships will feel like windows opening to a cool breeze, not showy yet. The room grows easier to breathe. Butterflies come to the flower, not the flower to the butterflies. Your blossom has opened, so worthy partners will seek you out. Do not panic when old ties fall away. They are leaves at the end of their season. The tree does not grieve their fall, it saves its sap for new buds. So, do you reserve your energy for meetings with fragrance, for conversations with depth, for work with soul? And when you stand in new rooms, rooms that once existed only in imagination, do not forget to bring the kindness of your small house. Those of true stature do not change their voice to seem great. They keep sincerity the way one keeps the scent of fresh rice. That is the fragrance that opens the next door. I emphasize this to you: all that is being placed in your hands is not a prize for outpacing others, but the answer to a planted promise. I do not pay wages to puff you up. I fulfill so that love's design runs on time. If you call this glory, that glory belongs not to the seat of honor but to the towel of service. If you call this a summit, that summit lies not on a stage, but in the place where you quietly do the right when no one applauds. And when people ask you, how will you keep it all, you may smile. You keep by not clutching. You give by trusting. You labor with both hands and you rest with all your heart. You will no longer strain to prove, because my presence is proof. You will no longer flinch under judging eyes, because you now have a deeper gaze to measure by. You will no longer live for praise, because you were made to live by love. That love does not blare a trumpet, yet it tunes every instrument in the ensemble. So, though the world be noisy, within you the cadence holds steady, and from that cadence you will walk free, gentle, strong. Close your eyes for a moment and hear me. You have never been forgotten. If ever you feel alone, remember, it is when I am drawing you from the crowd to speak what is meant for us two. If there is a stretch where you walk slowly, understand it is the tempo by which the muscles of the soul are formed. If there is a longing you once set aside, be ready, for I am stirring it again, but not in the old way. A dream that has passed through fire is no longer a mirage. It becomes a lamp with wick and oil and flame, able to light the way and warm the weary. Prepare to meet extraordinary days dressed in ordinary clothes, phone calls that open journeys, meetings that unlock problems, opportunities that look like small tasks but carry long reach. I will make you know them by a seal of stillness within, like a small bell sounding at the right time. Focus on your part on time in order with a true heart. The rest I have arranged backstage. Now you step into the promised moment, not ostentatious yet unmistakable, not showy yet hard to deny. You will see knots of many years slip from their tangles. Words that once pierced you lose their power. No entry signs, posted in the wrong places, come down. It is not that you are more worthy than others. It is that my commitment has reached its hour to appear. So do not confuse this with reward. Reward places you in comparison. Fulfillment sets you in the flow. You are not climbing a podium to receive a cup. You are opening your heart to welcome life pouring out, and as it pours you will share. The more you share, the stronger the current. Like a river gathering many streams and giving back silt to the banks. You are the riverbank for those who will find themselves. Your story is the bridge. Your voice is the harbor light. Your hands are the oars. And at the end of every metaphor, it is still I, the one who kept, who taught, who led, who waited, who loved. Therefore go with eyes wide and a tender heart. Name the old with gratitude and the new with courage. Remember, I shielded you from what you had not yet learned to fear. I slowed your pace while your heart was still thin. I held the gift back until you could receive it without losing your way. And now that hour has come. The chain of fear cracks, the yoke of the past falls. You stand upright not from pride but because you are upheld. You smile not because all is quiet without blinks and mice, to Krutherdav, but because all is quiet within. You are ready, not because you are flawless, but because you have been faithful, and that is all I need to draw the wonder. You will enter the room you once dreamed of, open the window and see the sky of possibilities. Favor is like a current crossing terrains, effort cannot. What I place in your hands is the fruit of a promise, the olive branch after the flood. And this, make no mistake, is not an award. This is the completion day of a word sown. The bell that marks the hour of a journey fulfilled. Go, my child, with steps humble and steady, so the next chapter of your life is no longer written in the ink of anxiety, but with the strokes of peace. I am here, and you will see day by day that what I speak is true. In this very moment, gather your whole heart and breathe out the fullest prayer you can offer me. Almighty God, sovereign over heaven and earth, I come to you in awe and trust. Let your utterance become the pillar that upholds my every step. Erase from my heart the hazy voices of doubt, so that I may lean upon the word that never returns void. Inscribe upon the tablet of my soul the promises of life. Pour into my mind the wisdom to discern true from false, good from evil, so that every decision I make bears the imprint of peace from you. And in every season I may say, your will is enough for me. Merciful Father, healer of hidden wounds and mender of fractures unseen by human eyes, come and touch the aching places within me, the cracked memories, the weary expectations, and the clinging words of self-reproach. Use your word like costly oil upon the fissures to soften what is hard, to turn scars into testimonies of your faithfulness. So I no longer flee the old darkness, but bravely open the door for your light to enter. That from now on I may love myself as you have loved me, and love others with the mercy you have bestowed. Eternal One, Lord of every moment and keeper of the keys to every door, arrange for me divine appointments set to heaven's calendar. Grant me ears keen to hear, your invitation eyes sharp to recognize the doors you open, and a tranquil heart to wait with joy. Remove from my path the easy turns that lack blessing, the glittering doors that trade away peace, that I may step only through the doors you have raised, where there is no fear, no shame, and where my identity is affirmed by you alone. Eternal One, I give thanks for the sacred appointments you ordained before my first cry, for the way you open doors in the right time, with the right people, and the right word, so that peace flows in like a river after rain. Thank you that delays have become runways, and detours have become maps, that the timing of heaven always fits the needs of the soul, and that all you do is perfect in your season. Good Father, I thank you for covering me like a fortress for angel armies, guarding the comings and goings of my life for schemes, unmasked chains, broken battles turned, and peace restored. I praise you for teaching me to look at the word rather than the waves, to choose peace as my measure, and to trust that no power can touch what you have sealed. Lord of calling, I thank you for the mantle. You give warm and weighty with responsibility, yet light with love. Thank you that you call me not only to be helped, but to become a helper. Thank you that unending supply flows through me into dry places, that I may take part in your story of healing for a weary world, and that all glory belongs to you alone today and forever. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong community of faith.